The Churchill Years. 6 turning points in the career of Winston Churchill, written by David Wheeler. With Daniel Massey as Churchill. Episode 4, Class Wars, with Nigel Davenport as Stanley Baldwin, Graham Crowden as John Reith, Hugh Fraser as Ramsay MacDonald, and Hugh Dixon as Sir Clive Wigram.
I have never taken the view that Britain is down and out, that the foundations of our commercial and industrial greatness have been sapped. It is true that today, 1926, 8 years after the end of the World War, our coal industry is in chaos. And yet, our much-abused coal miners hew more coal per shift than any other miners in the world.
False economy to expect a man to go down a mine and do his best and come at the end of the week with not enough in thousands of cases to feed himself, to say nothing of the wife and children who are dependent on him. The nation cannot slide out of this responsibility.
A strike by the British mine workers will mean the end of capitalism. I'll tell you something else, comrades. 97% of the new recruits to the police and the armed services have come from the working class. Thousands of them have been miners. These men will not shoot their kith and kin when the order comes to open fire.
The Miners' Union have arrived, Prime Minister.
You know what Lord Birkenhead said to me the other day? He thought the miners' leaders were the most stupid people he'd ever met, until he met the mine owners. Something in that. Who have we got?
Oh, the NUM President, Herbert Smith, and the General Secretary, Arthur Cook.
Oh, I can't stand Cook. Calls himself a Leninist, doesn't he? Babbling on about the troops not shooting the mine workers. Oh. Smith isn't so bad if we can get him to open his mouth.
I've said it before, Mr. Baldwin, and I'll say it again.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
We're willing to do all we can to help our industry, but with one proviso. When we have worked and given of our best, we want a respectable day's wage for a respectable day's work. And that is not what we're being offered.
That's it. Not a penny off the pay, not a second on the day.
But the mining industry has been subsidised to the tune of £23 million of taxpayers' money. The Chancellor of the Exchequer says this cannot continue, and I agree with him.
Oh, we all know what Mr. Churchill thinks of the miners. He was the man who sent in the troops at Tonypandy. Give him half a chance and he'll do it again.
Mr. Cook.
What did he do with the railwaymen on Merseyside? Sent in 7,000 troops there, did Mr. Churchill, not to mention 2 warships. Sent in troops to shoot the men who fought in the war.
Whether he calls himself a liberal, as he did then, or a conservative, as he does now, we know where we stand with Churchill.
And I hope you know where you stand with me, gentlemen. I believe in conciliation and peace, and I'm not one to fight old battles over again. We've now had the report of the Royal Commission on the mining industry. There are recommendations in it which I would have thought would be welcomed by your members.
What they don't welcome, Mr. Baldwin, and there's a million men in our coalfields, is the idea of a cut in pay when they already don't get enough to keep body and soul together.
A temporary reduction until the industry gets on its feet again. That's how I see it. Can't you accept that?
Nowt doing, Prime Minister.
Not a penny off the pay, not a second on the day.
We've nowt to offer. I have to say that. Our people are down.
I don't care a hang for any government or army or navy. We shall prepare a fighting machine with a commissariat department. I'm going to get a fund going, if I can, in London that will buy grub for the miners and anyone who comes out with them. And comrades, when the struggle comes, and indeed before it comes, we'll have that grub distributed to the homes of our people.
Well, that's easier said than done, Arthur.
No, it isn't. Not if everyone does their bit. Let me tell you something. My own mother-in-law has been taking in an extra tin of salmon for weeks now, just to be ready.
My God. A British Revolution based on a tin of salmon.
Look, the point is this. Are we, the miners, going to get the support of the trade union movement in our fight, or are we not? Now, you're the chairman of the General Congress, Mr. Pugh. Just tell us.
You mean a nationwide general strike?
Aye.
Is that what it comes to?
That's just what it comes to. It's got to be a national kick-off, if it's a kick-off at all.
Well, you know what that means. It means a special conference of all the trade union executives.
Is it not possible, Mr. Smith, to come to some agreement on the new proposal from the coal owners?
You mean for the miners to work longer hours, Prime Minister?
That seems to be the best solution. At the end of the year, we could see whether the coal industry had recovered sufficiently to go back to the shorter hours.
No, Mr. Baldwin. We think the present hours are long enough to supply all the coal the market can take.
And the hours are quite long enough for such dangerous work. Everybody knows that. Not a penny off the pay.
Quite so, Mr. Cook.
Do you think it will come to a strike, sir?
I hope not, Eddie. It would be a most unwelcome distraction in the middle of my budget. But if it does, I think they'll find we are ready for them. The last year hasn't been wasted. The Organisation for the Maintenance of Supplies is in good fettle, so I'm told. If there is to be a trial of strength, we'll see who comes off best.
The votes cast at this conference of trade union executives on the proposition to call a national strike to begin at midnight on Monday, 3rd of May 1926, are as follows. Those in favour, 3,653,527. Those against, 49,911. I want to remind you all, brothers and sisters, that our plans for the strike require that the Miners' Federation now hand over to the General Council the conduct of this dispute. Brother Ernest Bevan of the Transport Workers.
We look upon your yes as meaning that you have placed your all upon the altar for this great movement. And having placed it there, even if every penny goes, if every asset goes, history will ultimately write that it was a magnificent generation that was prepared to do it, rather than see the miners driven down like slaves. In the name of the General Council, I rely on every man and every woman to fight for the soul of labour and the salvation of the miners.
The leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party, the Right Honourable Ramsay MacDonald.
My friends and colleagues, you can go away this afternoon fully convinced that if the sword has been drawn, it was not the hand of any man here who drew it. It was the hand of the present government that drew the sword and is now flaunting it in the face of the people of Great Britain. We have come to the time when the miner's wife has got to meet her husband with tears in her eyes because she cannot fulfill her duties as wife. The humblest miner's wife has to look at her child with an aching heart instead of a proud one. There are millions of men, flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, who hold with me the same traditions of Britain, who will say this fight is a wicked fight, an unnecessary fight, a criminal fight. We will be there in the House of Commons, in the battle with you, taking our share uncomplainingly until the end has come and until right and justice have been done.
Three cheers! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hooray!
Our people's flag is deep as red, is shrouded of our martyrs dead, and hailing through thick and cold, their arms were in every fold. Their faces scarlet and standing high, with shade and living alive.
There can be no question, Prime Minister, that a general strike is entirely different in character from a normal industrial dispute which can be settled by negotiation. A general strike is a threat to the Constitution and the authority of Parliament.
We still have time for negotiation. Another day before the notices take effect. I'm sure the TUC doesn't really want a strike any more than the Labour Party does.
But it would be negotiation under duress.
Neville?
Yes, I agree. It's a time to stand firm. We know the telegrams calling for strike action have already been dispatched.
Our own plans for dealing with an emergency are well laid, and I think...
Excuse me, Prime Minister.
Yes, what is it?
There's been an unexpected development.
What?
The Daily Mail has been sabotaged.
What do you mean?
The net soap members at the Daily Mail Works have refused to print tonight's editorial, called, I understand, for King and Country.
This is a direct assault on the freedom of the press.
In these circumstances, gentlemen, I think we have no alternative. We must suspend all negotiations.
And the strike goes ahead. We know where we stand.
This is John Reith, Managing Director of the British Broadcasting Company. I am, yes, perfectly prepared for any emergency. All the transmission lines have been connected here to my house. I shall be broadcasting the government's announcement about the strike on the wireless in a few moments. Is there any answer to my request for a personal message from the Prime Minister? It's quite short, is it? Then just a moment, I'll take it down. Keep steady. Yes. Remember that peace on earth, yes, comes to men of good will. Yes. Oh, that's all, is it? I thank you.
Is that Windsor Castle? This is the Prime Minister's principal private secretary. I have an urgent message for His Majesty's Secretary, Sir Clive Wigram. Yes, I know, it's 1:30 in the morning. Yes, well, would you put me through to him, please? I repeat, the matter is urgent.
Yes.
Sir Clive?
Yes. What is it? Who is this speaking?
Number 10, sir.
Number what?
Number 10 Downing Street.
Oh, yes.
We have just been informed that because of action by members of the printing union, the Daily Mail has ceased to function.
Daily what?
The Daily Mail, Sir Clive.
Oh. Yes?
We think you should tell His Majesty so he doesn't go off the deep end about it.
Oh. You think I should inform His Majesty, do you?
Yes.
Well, first I have something to tell you.
Yes, Sir Clive?
We don't take the Daily Mail here. And I'll tell you something else if it will make you happy. We don't take the Daily Express either. Good night.
Gather around, lads. Now, we've had this wire from Unity House. I'll read it out. Stoppage appears inevitable. Unless we advise otherwise, every man must act on instructions already given. No trains of any kind must be worked by our members. Allow no disorderly elements to interfere in any way. Maintain perfect order and have confidence in your own representatives. Perfect loyalty will ensure success. Well, that's it then.
Mr. Lloyd George.
This is a terrible conflict, Mr. Speaker, and no one can tell the end of it. Victory to either party may be disastrous to the state. I beg the government once more to make an effort for peace.
Mr. Churchill.
We are confronted, Mr. Speaker, with either acquiescing in the ruin of the country or of submitting to the dictation of one particular industry. I cannot conceive of any parliament worthy of the name, let alone the oldest and strongest parliament in the world, which would submit to such dictation without taking every measure in its power that circumstances may require. This is a conflict that can only end in the overthrow of parliamentary government or in its decisive victory. There is no middle course.
Good evening, Prime Minister.
Oh, Mr. Reith, how fortunate to bump into you like this.
We broadcast your message, Mr. Baldwin. Did you have occasion to hear it?
No, I'm afraid I'd gone to bed. This is a very distressing time for our country, Mr. Reith. I'd have given anything to avoid it, but we really had no choice.
I can appreciate that, sir.
I hate conflict, but there it is. We're in it now, and we have to win. You know, with no newspapers being published, the BBC is in an absolutely key position. Everything depends on it.
I'm aware of that, sir.
How extraordinary that with the newspapers out of action, the wireless should be the only means the people have of knowing what's going on. Are your premises well protected?
They certainly are, Prime Minister.
If you have any problems in that respect, you must tell the Home Secretary straight away.
Indeed, sir. We are now broadcasting news bulletins every 3 hours from 10 in the morning to 9:30 at night.
Good. But I hope you won't continue to be the only source of news for the remainder of the strike. I've asked Churchill to try and get some sort of official publication going.
I'm sure he will succeed, sir.
Well, if anyone can do it, Winston can.
Gentlemen, I want to thank all of you from the Newspaper Proprietors Association and the Newspaper Society for coming here at such short notice. What we want to produce is a really powerful, readable broadsheet, not merely to contain news, but relieve the minds of the people.
Who is going to do the work?
Volunteers.
It's not as easy to work the presses as you may think, Mr. Churchill.
If amateurs have been using the machines and damage is done, I will be responsible. The thing that matters is to get it started, to get something out on Wednesday.
The day after tomorrow?
Precisely. We need 200 men, and we want you to help us. We are prepared to take full responsibility for the character of the paper and for the costs and for all defense measures. Give us a plan of action. Show us where we can lay our hands on the necessary paper. It's no good unless we can print 1 million copies.
And what might this publication contain?
Oh, mainly news, speeches, recruiting going on, anything occurring in the country organizations. But it should also have a leading article, not violently partisan, but agreeable to the great majority of the people on our side.
And have you any idea what it's to be called?
The best suggestion to date is Sir Samuel Hawes, the British Gazette.
You know, Neville, I'm already beginning to feel that getting Winston to edit the British Gazette is the best thing I've ever done. It puts him in a corner and stops him doing worse things.
What a brilliant creature he is.
Oh, extraordinary. Do you regret choosing to go to health and letting him take the Exchequer?
Not in the least. I'm very happy where I am.
Well, the Chamberlains have never been deficient in reforming zeal.
But there's a great gulf fixed between Winston and myself that I don't think I shall ever cross. I like his humour. I like his vitality. I like his courage. But would I like to be a member of his staff? Mercurial is the word, I think.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. One sits there pondering a question, and along comes Winston with his 100-horsepower mind, and what can one do? He still thinks we should commandeer the BBC.
There is a case for that, under the state of emergency.
Possibly. But it could just as likely turn out to be a great mistake, in my view. Winston thinks it's monstrous not to use such an instrument to what he calls the best possible advantage. But Mr. Reith strikes me as a very responsible and patriotic individual. I think we can leave it to him for the time being.
I hear the TUC are putting out their own daily paper, the British Worker.
Yes. May the best editor win.
Ask my secretary, Mr. Edward Marsh, if you'd be good enough to come over here.
Yes, Mr. Churchill. Mr. Marsh?
You wanted me, sir.
Has there been any reply, Eddie, to my request to the BBC to broadcast this splendid noise? Our first edition coming off the presses.
Yes, indeed there has. Mr. Reith declines to do so.
Did you press him?
He was adamant.
Whose side does the BBC think it's on? I'm informed there was actually a BBC News item today to the effect that the cross-channel service has been cut off.
And was that not correct?
It was indeed correct. The Irish channel.
Ah.
The BBC should have been taken over the moment the strike was declared. Fortunately for us, the Morning Post has been more cooperative in agreeing to be commandeered.
Lord Beaverbrook has been very supportive too, sir. I doubt if we'd be in business at all, but for his experts.
Well, one can generally depend on Max, though not always. Now, this is what we are saying in our first edition. Now, listen to this, Eddie.
Yes, I'm listening.
The strikers' aim is to replace the existing constitution by a show of force, threatening the basis of ordered government and coming nearer to proclaiming civil war than we have been for centuries past. We propose to use the unlimited resources of the state to raise the circulation of this newspaper. What's more, I intend to see it's a better newspaper than the ones it replaces.
Let's hope so.
Have faith, my dear.
Oh, Professor Lindemann has been on the phone from Oxford. He's found 14 more volunteers to help us out.
Splendid! Tell the Prof they're to report to the Treasury early tomorrow evening.
The British Gazette, issue number 1. A long line of motor lorries swinging into Hyde Park bore sure witness to the fact that the strikers had suffered early defeat in their attempt to starve London. Each of the rumbling wagons, and there were more than 100 of them, was piled high with bags of flour. The convoy looked like the commissariat of a victorious army, and the illusion was heightened by the sight of soldiers perched high on their loads, some of them smoking, most of them smiling, and all of them going about their job with the casual good humour characteristic of the British private in peace and war. An occasional knot of strikers gazed in amazement at the column. Troops had descended on their objective before the enemy had time to realise that they were there.
The British Worker, issue number 1. Comrades, the struggle has begun. Today, the whole body of British workers stands united as one man in their unconquerable determination to resist demands which were a calculated and deliberate attack, not only on the miners, but on every worker in the country, and upon the very existence of the trade union movement itself. Hearty congratulations to our members on their splendid response to the call for action. The National Union of Railwaymen are proud to be in the very front line of the workers' battle. You must handle no traffic of any kind, foodstuffs or otherwise. Stand all together for the achievement of victory.
This is 2LO calling. Our next bulletin of information about the general strike will be at 10 o'clock. Before then, we are going over to the London School of Economics for a discussion between Miss Sheila K. Smith and Captain P.P. Eckersley on the motion, is there too much broadcasting?
You appear to be enjoying yourself as a super editor, Winston. It must take you back to your days as a war correspondent.
It's certainly a challenge, Prime Minister. In my immodest opinion, the British Gazette has already become a potent factor in reducing the effectiveness of the strike.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. It's been very well received by our people in the provinces. You know, Winston, it seems the impact of the strike on essential services is much, much less than we might have feared. In fact, the TUC has now made us an offer to help with food supplies.
We must reject it emphatically, Prime Minister. What government in the world could enter into partnership with a rival government against which it is trying to defend itself and society, and allow that rival government to sit in judgment on every train that runs and every lorry that takes to the road?
The fact is, of course, we are managing quite well as it is.
But what is needed now is a show of force.
Well,
a convoy of lorries to open up the London docks, escorted by armoured cars and machine guns.
Blimey! They've sent the whole bloody army against us now.
London, England, from the special correspondent of the New York World. The sullen mass of strikers who congregated after dawn were awed by the military and permitted most of the moving on to be done by the mounted police. unarmed as always, but backed this time by enough artillery to kill every living thing in every street in the neighborhood of the docks.
All aboard now! All aboard, please! Take your seat, please, madam.
What do you do when you're not being a bus conductor, young man?
I'm a student at Guy's Hospital, madam. So is the driver. And anyone who interferes with either of us is likely to be a patient there. Hold ever so tight now!
Message to all staff. You are to understand that we must keep out of the British Gazette any news that would heighten the morale of those on strike or depress that of our volunteers. I should also like to see no reference to incidents of rowdyism or intimidation.
I shall announce you, Prime Minister, as soon as the red light comes on.
Yes, very well, Mr. Reith. What do you think of my manuscript?
Excellent, sir, except for one minor alteration which I have suggested on page 2.
Where? Oh, there. Yes, I see. Oh, that's fine. I've been thinking I ought to end with something personal.
Indeed, sir. Something about people trusting you.
Do you think so?
What about saying you're a man of peace, that you're longing and working and praying for peace, but that you won't compromise the dignity of the Constitution?
Well, that's rather good. Do you have a legible hand?
I hope I have.
Then write it down for me.
This is an historic occasion, sir, in its way. The first time a Prime Minister has used a wireless to appeal to the nation in crisis.
Yes, I suppose it is. I think I'll add another bit of my own at the very end.
If you're going to light your pipe, Prime Minister, I suggest you do it before the red light. Oh. Stand by, sir. This is London calling 2LO. We are now broadcasting a message from the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Stanley Baldwin, MP.
I am a man of peace. I am longing and working and praying for peace. But I will not surrender the safety of the British Constitution. You placed me in power 18 months ago by the largest majority accorded to any party for many, many years. Have I done anything to forfeit that confidence? Can't you trust me to secure a square deal for the parties? To secure even justice between man and man?
The British worker. The workers must not be misled by Mr. Baldwin's renewed attempt last night to represent the present strike as a political issue. The trade unions are fighting for one thing and one thing only: the miners' standard of life. The General Council is prepared at any moment to resume negotiations. It has been urged to do so by the United Churches of this country, led by the Archbishop of Canterbury. But this appeal was withheld from the nation by the British Broadcasting Company. Why?
I really do not understand, Mr. Reith, why a statement on behalf of the churches calling for negotiations to be resumed between the TUC and the government should not be broadcast.
The responsibility was mine, Your Grace.
Then has it come to this, that the Broadcasting Commission, or whoever or whatever it may be, has the right to censor the Church's message to the nation?
I can only repeat that this was done on my responsibility and mine alone. It was represented to me that Mr. Baldwin had expressed the view that the statement ought not to be broadcast. It was a difficult decision for me to take, caught, as it were, between primate and Prime Minister.
Yes, clearly.
There is a strong body of opinion in the Cabinet led by Mr. Churchill that the BBC should be taken over by the state. I want to do all I can to preserve its independence.
Yes, quite. But it does seem rather a moot point as to how much independence you actually enjoy, Mr. Reith.
The British Gazette. Arnold Rechberg, a German businessman, states that he has evidence that the strike is only one side of a vast Soviet scheme. Trade union leaders did not know that, for the most part, they were playing the game of the Kremlin.
Mr. Bevan on the line for you, Mr. Pugh.
Hello, Ernie.
This damn cheque from the Soviets. We must send it back right away and announce the fact. I know the communists, Arthur. They're as much the enemies of the working class as the Tories. They have their morality and we have ours.
I quite agree. We're already taking steps to return it. Hey, the British workers doing well, Ernie?
Not bad, is it? Churchill keeps trying to stop our supplies of paper, but we know a few tricks ourselves.
The editor of the Times is in something of a state, sir, I'm afraid.
Oh? What's he got to complain about?
He doesn't seem to like our commandeering his supplies of paper.
We must have the paper, Eddie, if we are to attain our target of over 1 million copies a day. The British Gazette is devouring paper at a terrible rate.
Yes, I know.
What people don't realise is that we're at war. We must go through with it. We must keep our nerve, even if others are losing theirs.
You don't mean the PM, I hope.
There are some who have the air of the Prime Minister who want us to negotiate. Never. It must be unconditional surrender.
Mr. Lloyd George.
Mr. Speaker, sir. I am not going at this stage to criticise the whole of the British Gazette, though a time will come when there will be a good deal to be said about that paper. I am not going to speak about the paragraphs containing offensive matter about political opponents, which could not in the least help what the government had in view. But I do wish to call attention to the way in which the appeal of the Christian churches has been suppressed. We are not fighting a foreign foe. Would it not have eased matters to have had this appeal published in the British Gazette instead of arousing a spirit of antagonism by saying, "Break them in pieces like a potter's vessel"?
Mr. Churchill! In the twinkling of an eye, Mr. Speaker, the newspaper press went completely out of action. And there was no other means, apart from the British Gazette, for giving guidance to the people and the authorities. It has been a stupendous task. Upwards of 1,100,000 copies printed last night. If critics think that this matter about the Christian churches ought to have been printed, they may well be right.
Is there still time for this appeal to be printed tomorrow?
I can't guarantee that. No, I can't. I hope the right honourable gentleman will make some contribution to meeting the present difficulties, other than selecting points which he can criticise. The time is ripe, Eddie, for a weighty pronouncement on the progress of the strike.
What do you have in mind, sir?
An article by, who should we say, by a cabinet minister.
Jane, with your notebook, please. And which cabinet minister do you have in mind?
I think you take the general drift of my thoughts. You know, this is a most enjoyable occupation. It combines all the organizational excitement of running a first-class battleship with the thrill of fighting an important general election. Is your pencil sharp, my dear?
Yes, Mr. Churchill.
Excellent. By a cabinet minister. Let us imagine, for a moment, what would have happened if the government had not taken the action it did. The general strike would not have been averted. It would only have been postponed.
The British Gazette.
No settlement of the...
All ranks of the armed forces of the Crown are hereby notified that any action which they may find it necessary to take in an honest endeavour to aid the civil power will receive, both now and afterwards, the full support of His Majesty's Government. Hello?
Oh, it's Wigram, Buckingham Palace here. Is Mr. Churchill there?
Not at the moment, Sir Clive. This is his secretary, Edward Marsh.
Oh, Mr. Marsh, perhaps you'll be kind enough to pass on a message to the Chancellor?
Yes, certainly.
His Majesty was rather disturbed by that announcement in the British Gazette, authorizing members of the armed forces to take whatever action they pleased. He thought the wording was most unfortunate.
The British Worker, May 10th. From every town and city, reports are pouring into the General Council headquarters stating that all ranks are solid, that the working men and women are resolute in their determination to resist the unjust attack on the mining community.
The British Gazette, May 10th. Every man who does his duty by the country and remains at work or returns to work during the present crisis will be protected by the state from loss of trade union benefits, superannuation allowances or pension.
The TUC's message at the opening of the second week is stand firm, be loyal to instructions and trust your leaders.
No man who does his duty loyally to the country in the present crisis will be left unprotected by the state from subsequent reprisals.
So you are Mr. Reith?
I am indeed, Chancellor. Managing Director of the British Broadcasting Company.
You appear to have been broadcasting a number of somewhat unnecessary news items, Mr. Reith.
Do you have any particular examples in mind, Mr. Churchill?
I'm thinking, actually, of any item broadcast over the wireless which suggests we are collaborating with the TUC.
But really, sir...
There was one the other night about maintaining the power supplies at the London hospital.
But, Mr. Churchill...
It is a matter of opinion, no doubt, and I may be entirely wrong. But it seems to me that such items give support and encouragement to the enemy.
The enemy?
Yes. Our enemies. All who take part in the general strike are enemies of the British Constitution. We all need to understand that, Mr. Reith, especially those of us in a position to guide public opinion.
It isn't political guidance that the BBC offers its listeners, but a service of unbiased news.
You were wounded in the war, I believe.
Yes, sir, I was.
In the head, was it not?
Yes, sir, but my present attitude is not traceable to that condition.
London calling 2LO. Here is a news bulletin. Reports from all sources this morning indicate that the state of the country generally is satisfactory. Such disturbances as are reported are the work of isolated hooliganism and have no political significance. Essential services are being maintained and developed. All the newspapers that appeared this morning, including the British Worker, published strong appeals against violence.
We've just heard from number 10, sir, that the TUC leaders have asked to see the Prime Minister tonight. It sounds as if it's all over.
And not before time, Meddy. But I shall tell the PM that there has to be a clear interval between calling off the general strike and resuming talks with the miners. Nothing simultaneous and concurrent. That would be fatal.
Mr. Pugh, would you be good enough, on behalf of the TUC, to make your statement?
Well, sir, we are here tonight to say that this general strike is to be terminated forthwith, in order that negotiations may proceed, we can only hope, in a manner that will bring about a satisfactory settlement.
The strike is to be called off forthwith?
That means immediately. It is now just a matter of the best way to get it done with the least confusion.
I thank God for your decision, gentlemen, and I shall call my cabinet together and report to them what you've said. Mr. Bevan, did you...
I want to urge that this must be regarded not as an act of weakness, but rather one of strength. It took a little courage to take the line we've done. We have had a row, and that upsets things. But we're quite willing to cooperate with our men to repair the damage.
Well, Mr. Bevan, you will want my cooperation, and I shall want yours, to try and make good the damage which has been done, and to try to make this country a little better and a happier place than it has been recently. The sooner we all get back to work, the better.
He's coming out now! Well, look this way, Mr. Baldwin! Where's the Baldwin? Pappy News. Could you look at the camera, please, sir?
Have you any statement, sir?
Just thank God it's over. That's all I have to say.
Have you any comment, Mr. Churchill?
Hurrah!
My worst enemy could never say I don't understand the people of England.
I must tell you, Mr. Smith, and your colleagues on the executive of the National Union of Mine Workers, that there is no question of giving any financial help to the mining industry. Subsidies for coal have long passed out of the sphere of practical politics.
If that is the case, Chancellor, then we need not detain you long. It seems to me you are of the same mind with the employers. If you think I'm here for a petition, you are mistaken. I am here for an honourable settlement. There is still a little fight left in us.
London calling 2LO. Our first feelings on hearing of the termination of the general strike must be of profound thankfulness to Almighty God, who has led us through this supreme test with national health unimpaired. As for the BBC, we hope your confidence in and goodwill to us have not suffered. We have laboured under certain difficulties, the full story of which may be told some day. In going back to work tomorrow, can we not all go as fellow craftsmen, resolved in the determination to pick up the broken pieces, repair the gaps, and build the walls of a more enduring city? The city revealed to the mystical eyes of William Blake when he wrote,
One final word, and I will trouble the House no further in this matter. The honourable member opposite has just said a time may come when another trial of strength will occur, and when something like this will be tried again on the country or the community. I have no wish to make threats or to use language which would disturb the House and cause bad blood. But this I must say, make your minds perfectly clear that if ever you loose on us again another general strike, we will loose upon you another British Gazette.
In Episode 4 of the Churchill Years, Winston Churchill was played by Daniel Massey, John Reith by Graham Crowden, Stanley Baldwin was Nigel Davenport, David Lloyd George, Ewan Meredith, Neville Chamberlain, John Moffat, Edward Marsh, Hugh Walters, Ernest Bevin, John Rowe, Herbert Smith, Donald G., Ramsay MacDonald and Arthur Cook, Hugh Fraser, Sir Clive Wigram and the Archbishop, Hugh Dixon. The radio announcer was played by Godfrey Kenton. The Churchill Years was written by David Wheeler and directed by Louise Purslow. And the bugler was Sergeant Alan Sessions of the Royal Marines School of Music, Deal.